Okay.
This is my story.
This is my story.
This is my story.
Now without the nod.
This is my story.
This is my story.
Yay.
This is my story.
This is my story.
This is my story.
This is my story.
This is my story. Hi, I'm Jan Miller, and I attend the third service. I help with the personal growth group here at Antioch. I work with insurance at a doctor's office. I love it. Most people hate insurance, but I like insurance because I help people get everything they can out of that insurance company. I wish that had I really paid attention in school, I think I could have done just about anything in life. I think the Lord's given me so many different talents and things that I could have probably been an attorney, a nurse. I wish I could have been a nurse. I think I would have been a good nurse because I feel like I'm compassionate that way towards people, but I was scared of needles. Although I've been taught to take blood, and I did it. I was doing what I was supposed to do, but I pulled the needle out just a little bit, and there's a vacuum thing, and it went, and I went, and I pulled it out real quick while the tourniquet was still on, so the blood was spurting out. And then I was like freaking out. So I had to go lay down for a little bit. And then she made me come back and do more. A horse, because they're strong and beautiful, and they smell good. My favorite thing would have been to ride horses, but I don't have any anymore, and I could just go and smell them if I could do that. That would be great with me. And but I guess my hobby now would be my grandkids. The love that you feel for a grandchild is different. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but it's very deep, and there's nothing I wouldn't do for them. And you probably better never hurt one of them because it'd be a crazy grandma time. Other thing I would have to say that I've learned about being a grandma, though, is I have to be careful not to step over my bounds. Because there's things that the girls, in their discipline style and everything that they want or to do with their children. And I have to step back and say that let them be their mom and dad, because sometimes I don't want them to do certain things but they would tell me, oh my gosh, you would give me a whooping for that. Be my dad. Because just to be able to talk to him, tell him I love him. Well, personal growth, we have that acronym for growth, which is God, relationships, opportunities, wisdom, time, and health. It's a group that hopefully brings people together and can, whatever it is that we do, that we're ministering to that group of people that comes in some way so that it draws them closer to the Lord. Whatever that we can do that's going to glorify Him and bring people closer together and closer to Him, that's what I want to see happen with personal growth. We're reaching out to the community, and I want to see people brought together, and for them to learn what their talents are, because the Lord can use that, and we need to be able to use the talents the Lord's given us. I think that's important, and it's a blessing to have that happen. The car basics class, I think it helped bring our people together and maybe out of their comfort zone a little bit, so that they were, using talents that maybe they didn't really realize that they had. At Christmas time, we try to do a project that we can give something away. So we bring, and it doesn't have to be ladies, it can be anybody that can come and do whatever the project what may be. Like last year, we were doing scarves. The year before, we did a flannel blanket, and we give those away. But it brings people together, and then we have the blessing of being able to give to those that, something warm and a scripture. We had a little scripture book that year. We did have people that had not ever come to Antioch. And the one nice thing about it, too, is we use the card ladies to send out a card or something from whatever the event is to touch base with anybody that hasn't been here before. The Lord can use any of us. He's given each one of us something that we can do. We all have some kind of a talent, and regardless of what that talent is, whether it's a little teeny tiny thing or some real big thing that's up front, it's important to the body. And you need to use those talents to help grow the kingdom. And that's what we're here for, to help grow the kingdom. And the more people we see come in here and accept Jesus, it might get messy because we're all different, and we have to disciple those people and help them to grow. But that's what we're all here for. And we find these things that the Lord wants us to do that they become passionate about, and then they take over that. Maybe going into the emotionally healthy relationship series. I think that would be real important. We've been looking at possibly a marriage, art of marriage class, but we're not. I just haven't really felt a pinpoint as what I'm really supposed to do yet. One of the girls that I went to school with invited me to revival at a little Pentecostal church down in Macon. And so I went, and it was different. Although a lot of my family have Pentecostal backgrounds. But I went, that's where I got saved. And so it really did change my life. I learned a lot that Jesus was my best friend, because I didn't really have a lot of what I would say good friends, because I was kind of a wild child. And you can ask my mom. But anyway, so I was baptized in that little church in a horse trough, which I thought was really appropriate because I love horses. But I think a lot of my experiences in my life, even though it's things I wouldn't have chosen again to do, has helped me to minister to other people. For me, anyway, and I know not everybody experiences the same thing, but for me, it was really like it was a weight lifted off of me, and I was lighter, and I just felt so clean, and I felt I had such a hunger. I don't even know how to explain it. I remember thinking, because I was like 15 or something, and I remember thinking, man, I wish I could just take the Bible and open up my head and stick it in there. And then the other thing was I wanted to tell everybody. So I was getting called Holy Roller and all of that kind of stuff. That is how it felt back then. I still want to tell people, but we kind of, as we get older, we're kind of afraid to, what somebody's going to think about me. The Sunday morning prayer time, to me, is so important, and I really feel like people don't necessarily understand how important that is. And I think to go forward, and it does take courage, because you are in a struggle most of the time. If you're really needing to go up there, you're in a struggle. And if you leave and you don't go, then you feel like crud all day long because you went out without your healing or your blessing or whatever the Lord wanted to do for you that day. You leave without it. If you go forward, the blessing far exceeds the fear that you had to start with if you just go do it. Scarface, that's what I call Satan. He's going to do everything he can to keep you in that seat. And if the Lord's working on your heart and your heart's fluttering and you're thinking, I can't go up there. What's everybody going to think? And I can remember one time, and it's this, he'll pull out anything. And I can remember thinking, I had this pair of shoes and the heel was loose. And the Lord was working on me to go forward about something that was going on in my life. And I'm like, I can't go up there. When I kneel down, everybody's going to see their shoe. And it's going to be so embarrassing. But he does. He tries to keep you from, your heart's fluttering and you're thinking he's over here on your shoulder telling you all the stuff why you shouldn't. And Jesus is over here trying to tell you why you should. And the best decision you can do is to go, you take that first step and it's easier and easier. And he meets you down there, and he takes care of everything. Pastor always says you don't necessarily have to go up there and talk to anybody if you don't want to. You can just kneel and pray and talk to the Lord and just be obedient, and then go tell somebody what the Lord did for you. That's just as important as going up there, because when you share that story, what the Lord's done for you, it increases your strength as a Christian, and you give old Scarface a black eye. Even though you make that first trip up to the altar to ask Jesus into your heart, that's not the end of it. You still sometimes need to go up there and say, hey, Lord, I messed up, and let somebody pray with you or whatever you need to do. But I've always tried to be really willing to do whatever the Lord wants me to do. Sometimes it takes me a little while because I want to make sure that He is leading whatever it is I'm doing. It's kind of like the armor of God. I watched that, and He just started working on me. And it was over a year before we did it. It might have been 2 years, seriously, because I just always want to make sure that, one, He's going to get the glory for it, and it's just not me thinking, hey, I need to do this. And I wanted to bring the ladies together, and it was really good for me because I really got to know ladies that I didn't know, that I may not have ever got to know had we not done that. I feel like I've been very tender to His Spirit when He's speaking to me. And sometimes it's kind of hard to know exactly. I have to be careful. That's why I take my time sometimes with whether is it Him wanting me to do this. I feel like I could probably do just about anything anybody asks me, but is it Him? Is that what He wants me to do? Because I want to make sure, because I can't do it under my own power. And when I start a project, if He starts giving me, I just feel like He starts giving me all these ideas and things are coming to my mind, and I'm invigorated by it. I'm just like, yes, I can do this. That's when I know that He's working. The church that we served in for like 21 years, that door got closed really tight. It was hard but good because we needed to move on. I just learned that, again, you got to depend on Him, not others. It was difficult to forgive because I was always putting in my mind, okay, so it says, you got to forgive your neighbor. Well, who's your neighbor? Could you specify that, Lord? You just want the Lord to kind of go bzzz. In 2008, when I was diagnosed with lung cancer, I had went to the doctor, and they had done a cholesterol screening on me. And the doctor says, oh, your cholesterol is really high. I think you ought to do this CT heart score. So I did, and it found the nodule in my lung. And so that was the beginning of many, in my opinion, miracles throughout the whole thing, I immediately, I had a whole peace over the whole thing, the whole time that this was all going on. And I knew a lot of people in the medical field. So anywhere I went, the Lord provided somebody I knew. I know when I went in to get a blood gas, I mean, those can be very painful. I don't know if the test was any good because I was hyperventilating, but it all worked out. But anyway, there was a girl there, and then when I had the biopsy, there was a nurse there, and she sang a song with me that was about him just walking me through the whole thing, and she sang that with me. Went in with me through the procedure. I had no pain for this biopsy that they did. And the PET scan, all of that, the doctor, I still to this day think he was just sent for me, because my sister-in-law had just went through a similar surgery, and she had one of the surgeons around here that just did the old-fashioned, I mean, it was horrible surgery because she'd had to have part of her lung removed, and I have a scar like this long under my arm. It was all done laparoscopically. I've not, suffered a whole lot of any kind of ill effects. I did have to have chemotherapy. I did lose my hair a little, not all of it, but some of it. But it was, there were 2 times during that whole ordeal that I was in my car, and Greg was with me once. And I even rolled down the window. It was in the summertime, and I'm listening. I heard angel choirs twice. And I was asking Greg, do you hear that? And he goes, no, what is it? I said, don't you hear that singing? And he said, no, he couldn't hear it, but I did. My favorite memory from personal growth was my first video series with the Armor of God. Because at the end, she gave an invitation. And I felt like the Lord said, have these ladies, close their eyes and bow their heads. And I did that, and 2 ladies raised their hand that they wanted to recommit themselves to the Lord that night. So, yeah, that was a real blessing. He's been teaching me a lot all throughout my whole life, because I don't think I'm really stubborn necessarily, but it just takes a little while, I guess, for me to get it. But patience, to listen before I speak. I try to listen, but I need to listen more to make sure I'm in the Word every day. I'm praying every day, but sometimes I don't get in the Word like I need to. And it's like, I can tell a person, look, you need to be in the Word, because you can't know Jesus if you're not in the Word. But I need to make sure I'm doing what I'm telling everybody else to do. That He's not done with me, and He's faithful, and He's just, He just keeps at it, and He's probably thinking a lot of times, oh man, Jan, didn't you learn that last time? And but He just keeps with me, and yeah, He's faithful. Because you asked me to. If anything in my story would help someone else feel, hey, church people aren't perfect. We're still a work in progress. And because the Lord loves us so much, He just keeps working on us and working on us and working on us until one day we see Him in heaven and we are perfected. He's so forgiving, and His grace reaches out farther than we probably even realize that it does. And He loves us so unconditionally, and we sure don't deserve it.